Good morning, this is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the pre-market webinar for the morning of Wednesday, the 3rd of September. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my tactical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing, learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. I'm not here to issue trading signals. This is a video for paying subscribers at chartingthemarkets.substack.com. It is published on YouTube after a delay of 24 hours. All right, great. Let's have a look at what happened yesterday. Okay, Yes, I was talking in the bigger picture webinar on Monday about the possible little head and shoulders here, and that broke down and made target. We also had a little head and shoulders forming on Qs, and that broke down. That made the minimum target as well, or at least all but. On RTY, we didn't have an obvious setup. We do have a possible head and shoulders forming here, though, on YM. YM, I was talking about the possibility that we might, on a move down, form a bull flag, and this is a perfect bull flag channel. So at the lows yesterday, we had 60-minute buy signals fixed on ES, on NQ, on RTY, a weak one on YM, full one on DAX, and we had a weak one form on ESTX. That was unanimous, and none of those have reached the possible near-miss target yet, suggesting that we are going to see some more upside, and we've already seen some more upside because we're up 23 at the moment from yesterday's close. I'm leaning towards seeing more, and I'm wondering on SPX particularly, just show you the 15-minute chart here. This is a little inverted head and shoulders here. I haven't marked it in because it would mess up my 60-minute chart, but this is actually broken up. If this makes target, this would get us back up into pretty close to a retest of the all-time high. And I'm wondering, between that and the perfect bull flag channel on YM, I am wondering whether we could head back and retest the highs, particularly on those two. And we will see, because I did a post on this morning. I reviewed all the rising wedges. I reviewed what happened on the daily middle bands yesterday with a gap below and close below on SPX, and obviously a breakdown into the 50 DMA on the Qs. Hey Doug, so we'll see how this goes today. But I am wondering if we might see retest of the high. Looking at DAX and the STX, we didn't really have any topping patterns here. We actually were going significantly lower than we went on the US indices. But I am wondering whether this might be a flag on the STX. We will see. Not really looking for retest of the highs here on DAX and the STX, but we'll see how that goes. All right, looking at the wedges. Okay, SPX, we're still on the original wedge. That's broken down. We've got a very nice looking potential level top, but that didn't break down yesterday. Wondering, looking at the signals at the lows yesterday, I'm wondering about a possible retest of the high, setting up a smaller double top that could get us down into this neckline here in the 62.12 area on SPX. On the Qs, we have this head and shoulders here, and this actually broke down at the low yesterday. This could continue down, but equally could reject back up to the high and just set up a more conventional double top. Waiting to see what happens here. On Dire, we actually saw a break. I had a look. We do have an alternate trend line here, which has been established. We saw a slight break below the wedge support. Wondering again about a high retest, setting up a small double top. These aren't big patterns, I would say. If we're going to form big patterns, the obvious ones to do would be see some larger breaks down to get us down into some big head and shoulder patterns and see whether they developed. We'll see. IWM got nowhere near the revised wedge resistance, but again, we got a decent looking trend line here. Waiting to see what develops here. Now, 3 weeks ago, I was saying that we were likely either to see a strong retracement or a consolidation. We have, of course, been seeing consolidation since then. That could be all we're going to get, but I'm thinking we've still got a nice setup for a decent retracement here, and I'm thinking we may well see that. But there is obviously a possibility that after this consolidation, that we continue higher directly. I'm leaning towards the retracement setup here, but keeping an open mind. All right, looking at ES. ES yesterday, we saw a break below and a close below the daily middle band. On SPX, that was a gap below and a close below, but it looks like we'll be back above that at the open this morning, or pretty close to it in any case. We could just consolidate and continue down from there, but I've got to say, with all the buy signals on the futures, and a couple of encouraging pattern setups. I am wondering about retest the highs directly from here. On the Qs, I was noting on Monday's video, bigger picture video, that obviously we'd been testing the daily middle band for essentially the whole of last week. That broke yesterday, and we tested the 50 DMA. That was encouraging. And certainly we've been seeing a lot of breaks down below the daily middle bands on SPX and the Qs, which is supportive of topping out for a decent retracement here, but we haven't got an awful lot in terms of reversal patterns, which is why I'm wondering about more retests of the highs. On Dia, we got nowhere near, well, actually no, we got somewhat near the daily middle band. That closed yesterday at 448.89, and we got as low as 450.15. So kind of pretty close to a test. We did break below the rising support trend line here, and this looks like topping action. I still really like all of these wedges. So we'll see how they develop from here. But these wedges are, again, suggesting more of a retracement coming. All right, looking at IWM. Looking at the daily chart, nowhere near the daily middle band, but we had a possible RSI 5 sell signal brewing, and that's now a fixed RSI 5 sell signal, which again is suggesting weakness. On the hourly chart, we had an RSI 14 sell signal fix, and that made target at the low yesterday. So that is now done. On DAX, the weak RSI 14 sell signal reached the possible near miss target yesterday. No current positive divergence on the RSI 5. We do have a nice looking potential level top here, which could deliver. Looking at Nikkei, Nikkei is still holding the daily middle band after some tests. RSI 5 sell signal has reached the possible near miss target, and the RSI 14 sell signal is nowhere near the target at the moment. We could set up a stronger signal with a retest of this high. This is a nice looking rising wedge, which is starting to break down. And may well follow through to the downside. All right, looking at DX. DX, we've got a 60-minute sell signal fixed, where at the moment we're just trading in a range, waiting to see which way this breaks. But we obviously reached range support. We're now pretty close to range resistance. We've got a nice looking little level top here. We've got a 60-minute sell signal. Looks as though we may be about to go back to wedge support. Looking at the other currency pairs, 60-minute buy signal is fixed on GBP. 60-minute buy signal is fixed on Euro and GBP. USD/JPY could be a flag set up here. I don't think there's a perfect trend line there. No, but it is suggesting that we might be heading down from here, and we've got a weak 60-minute sell signal fixed on USD/JPY and a full one brewing. Looking at USD CAD, no current divergence, but we'll see. Australian dollar, wondering about a retest of the high. NZ, keeping an open mind. No real obvious setup or direction on either of those. Looking at ZB, we've got a nice looking little level bottom here, and we've got a weak 60-minute buy signal fix. I'm thinking this might play out and give us a bit of a rally back to the monthly pivot in the 114.07 area. Looking at ZN, we've got a nice looking overall double top here, but short term probably going to see a bounce. Looking at CL, CL, we've got a nice looking channel here, and it looks like a bear flag channel, and it's broken down. Watching to see, but I'd be leaning towards seeing a retest this low here, and I'm wondering whether we might make that move into the mid-50s that I've been talking about. HO, again, pretty close to a channel here, wondering if this might be a bear flag as well. RBOB doesn't look like a bear flag because it's gone too high, but this looks like a little level top here. We've got a 60-minute sell signal, though it's already reaching the possible near miss target, but actually I called that slightly early. It hasn't reached it yet. It looks like this double top will break down, and if it makes target, that'll get us back to the monthly pivot area at 1.962. NG, still looking at potential bottoming action here. This could be an IHS breaking up, and the IHS neckline would be, hang on, there. Bear with me a moment. All right, this would be the IHS neckline, and it would be breaking up with a target really in about the 3.35 area. I think this has got a decent shot. This is this kind of area where I would be looking for a reversal. I am watching the possible IHS neckline at 3.25. We might form a larger and better IHS there. Looking at GC had another move up. We had a 60-minute sell signal fixed. That did nothing at all, and we went up and we made the obvious target. And that target was a retest of the all-time high. Finally, it made it. Really, we had been waiting a long time for this. But that was a compression triangle. It's broken up and it's made a retest of the high. Now, this could be the second high of a double top. And I am wondering about that. On silver, doesn't really look like the second high of a double top. We've gone significantly over this trend line here, which might well be breaking. And there are alternates. So I'm watching. We'll get more of a clue when we get the next significant high here, but it doesn't look like a double top at the moment. On palladium, the RSI 5 bicycle has now made target. Didn't make a huge rise there. We'll see how that goes, but I am thinking that we might see a reversal. We might see a bit of a retracement here. A large retracement establishing a significant high would be something I would prefer not to see here, because we're at an inflection point where metals can break higher, and I'd quite like to see them break higher. On silver, doesn't look like a double top. We've got a 60-minute sell signal fixed as well. PA, we've got palladium, we've got possible IHS, which is broken up with a target in the 1255 area. On platinum, we broke up and killed this bear flag. We have made the double bottom target, which I was having serious doubts about, to be honest. Could continue higher. No obvious topping pattern here at the moment. HG, hang on, just want to test something here. Hang on a second. No. Not a perfect one, but we've obviously gone slightly above where we would be looking at the channel resistance here, but I think this is likely still a bear flag, and that we're probably going to start breaking down towards a retest of this low. But obviously this has been trading in a pretty narrow range for quite a while here. All right, looking at KC. KC, we've got a nice looking double top, hasn't broken down yet. If it does break down, that could get us through the monthly pivot 351.50 down into about 340 area. Looking at SB, SB, we have nothing really obvious, particularly obvious happening here. So I am wondering about a larger retest of this low. But in terms of the pattern setup, this is amorphous at the moment. Looking at cocoa, we got a potential double bottom here. Not as nice as the one we were looking at yesterday, but nonetheless, no current positive divergence. CT, I was looking for a retest of this low, and we've seen it. This is, on the bigger picture, potentially the second low of a double bottom. But obviously, this double bottom here failed, and we've got a larger looking double bottom here now. So this is cotton particularly, I'm thinking maybe making a major low here. So I'm watching this with particular interest. Hang on, bear with me a second. So that is the new potential double bottom resistance. All right, lumber, we're continuing down, and I think we're either getting close to, or we're starting to break through larger double top support, which could take this an awful lot lower. And I think that's the obvious place for this stock should be going. ZW, with possible bottoming action here. Corn, and IHS has broken up with a target in the 441 area. On soy, this could be a bull flag, and I'm watching that with interest, but I don't have a really good support trend line yet. At least I don't think so. Let's have a look. Oh no, actually, that's pretty decent. This is looking an awful lot like a bull flag. Soybean oil, possible bottoming action here short term. Live cattle, consolidating, may well be forming a bull flag. And HE, we have a decent looking resistance trend line here, but this is way too large to be a bear flag. So we'll see how that goes. We may be reversing back towards the support trend line in the 89, well, basically in the 90 area. All right, great. Let's have a look at questions. Do I see an inverted head and shoulders in NG? Yes, I do. Looking for entry NPMs, we should wait for a pullback. And I'm thinking we may well see that pullback straight away. So we will see, in terms of an obvious level to see that, the obvious level I'd be watching would be this one here, where, hang on, wait a second, I'm just going to draw in a line. All right, you see that? This little range here, I've got that 35.36, 35.33 to 35.37 area, basically. That would be an area I'd be looking for possible support if we see a pullback. So we will see. All right, great. But anyway, this is an inflection point. We could see a larger reversal here on gold, but I'm not really looking for that. I'm just aware of the possibility. I'd like to see a pullback here in continuation higher, and I'm thinking we may well see that. All right, great. In that case, that's a wrap. I will catch you guys tomorrow, and everyone take care.